Hello, this is Kevin Rice. The other day I was walking around the campus here at Marsh University and praying as I was walking around the campus, which I've made a habit of for a few years. And as I was walking around the campus, the Lord spoke to me and He said that He imparts to people different gifts and different callings, but that He places people, He positions people to impart. Our purpose in the kingdom is to take what God has placed within us and impart it into the lives of those people who are around us. In Paul's ministry, he imparted spiritual gifts and various things into the churches that he established and visited. As a matter of fact, in 1 Thessalonians 2 and 8, Paul writes, he says, having so fond an affection for you, we are well pleased to impart to you not only the gospel of God, but also our own lives, because you have become very dear to us. You see, God doesn't put us in places, in positions, in locations, around people, in a circle of influence, just for ourselves. There is a position that God wants us to fill where we take the life that He has given us, the gifts, the callings, the purpose that He has given us, and pour it out into those, impart it into those that are around us. So many times people are looking for what the calling of God is, what the purpose of God is, what the plan of God is for their life. And they spend all this time in introspection, looking inside themselves, trying to figure out what inside of them needs to change. When really what they need to do is take what's in them and impart it unto those that are around them. There are people who haven't had the experiences that we have had. There are people who haven't come in contact with God the way that we have. Some people may not even know about God. And God positions us in our life so that we can impart our understanding and our knowledge and our wisdom that He has given us into the lives of those that are around us. Now, that doesn't mean that there are not those that God positions in our lives who will impart into us, which will happen. But according to Hebrews 13:16, it says, and do not neglect doing good and sharing, for with such sacrifices God is well pleased. In the Douay-Rheims Bible, the translation reads, and do not forget to do good and to impart, for by such sacrifices God's favor is obtained. When we begin to impart our lives unto the people that are around us, when we begin to take that which is within us and to share it with the world, much like Christ took the spirit that was within Him and shared it with those that He came in contact with, when we take what God has planted in us and we share it, we obtain God's favor. And when we empty ourselves out of what God has filled us with, that gives us more room for God to fill us with more of His blessing, more of His favor, more of His love, more of His grace. And sometimes we just become like a stagnant vessel. We hold on to what God has put in us, and we never pour it out onto those that are around us. It reminds me of the story in the Old Testament where the widow had a cruse of oil that had a little bit of oil in it. And the prophet told her to go and gather all these empty vessels and to pour that oil out into those empty vessels. Her blessing did not come from having a cruse of oil or having a little bit of oil in that cruse. Her blessing came when she poured out what she had into those empty vessels that were around her. And that is where our blessing from God will come. When we pour out what God has placed in us onto the lives that are around us, that is when our blessing will be manifest. What I want to leave with you today is that you have an opportunity today to take what God has placed within you. And you may say, oh, it's just a little bit. Well, that little bit of oil in that cruse, when that widow poured it out, filled all the empty vessels that she gathered into her home. If you will take the little bit that God has placed within you, and you will begin to pour it out into the lives of those that are around you, begin to impart that blessing that God has put in you. Maybe it's just an encouraging word. Maybe it's just the ability to cook a meal for somebody who needs a meal. Maybe it's just pulling off to the side of the road to help somebody with a flat tire, or to help a lady with her groceries to her car. When you impart your time and you bless somebody, God's favor will be multiplied in your life. This is Kevin Rice with Establishing the Kingdom. I look forward to seeing you again, and may God bless.